Hello guys, Cybershim here with another episode of Missing Bits, where I take a look at the cut and remove content to your favorite game. Today, I bring you guys a video about Super Smash Bros. 64. Frankly, because I cannot stop the hype for Ultimate, I'm going to take any chance I can to talk about Smash. Really though, it's a problem, and this video is a cry for help. Anyhow, Super Smash Bros. 64, the game that started all, with 4 polygon dudes flying atop a construction site. Confused? Well, go look up a video about Dragon King the fighting game, because at least today, I'm not going to be covering that. Rather, I just want to go to the nitty gritty of covering what got cut from the final game, including what most of you are here for from the thumbnail, cut characters. Now this is the real reason I wanted to make this video, as when people discuss characters being cut from the roster, there's a lot of confusion from who actually almost made it in, because well, the internet's a giant playground, so of course rumors will take priority over sources. I mean, just in terms of YouTube, you just gotta slap a red circle on any character, get an arrow pointing at them, or watch as YouTube views spike. Bonus points if you actually fact check, but it isn't required. So before I get to actually who was cut, I'm going to go through the most rumored characters for 64. These are popular characters you would heard in videos like Yuri of Win, Smash 64, or something like Source Gaming. The characters that were rumored for 64 to appear at one point were Peach, Pit, and Meowth. These characters were claimed to be cut late in development for various reasons, like they couldn't animate Pit's wings for some reason. I can't even find a reason why people claim Meowth would have been a character, because he's already a Pokeball assist, and if anything it's a really random choice. The actual characters that were cut, Sakurai did confirm in interviews. The following are characters that were scrapped at some point in development but were intended to be in 64 before reappearing in later games. I'm guessing because of the short development time is the real reason why they were cut, but Sakurai mentions there's various stories to why these characters were cut. The 4 characters that were left out of 64 were Bowser, King Dedede, Marth, and Mewtwo. Why don't we start with Marth? From a 20th anniversary Fire Emblem interview, Sakurai's question about how Fire Emblem characters are incorporated in Smash Bros. Regarding the story of Marth and Roy, Sakurai confirmed that Marth was originally going to appear in Smash 64 as a sword-wielding character. Only a few mechanics from Marth were actually finished, but didn't have the budget or time to add him in. Sakurai mentioned that he couldn't make it in because unlike the other unlockable characters in 64, that for the most part borrowed moves and animations of other fighters, Marth didn't really borrow anything, so more work would have been done to him. Bowser is mentioned, not by Sakurai, but a pretty debatable rumor starter in the 64 era that I've mentioned before, Miyamoto, in a 1998 Nintendo Power interview. When asked about what characters were going to show up in this upcoming Nintendo All-Stars game, Miyamoto mentioned characters like Mario, Link, Donkey Kong, and Bowser would have been playable, along with secondary characters like Captain Falcon and the Pokemon Pikachu. It's actually kind of funny that Pikachu to Miyamoto was considered a secondary Nintendo character. I mean, if anything, Pikachu rose to the top over the years and was right beside Mario and Link in terms of cash grabs, popularity. It is unknown when Bowser was cut from the roster, but since Miyamoto is pretty confident about Bowser being in the game, in fact describing a little bit of him, he had to have some work done on him during development and was probably cut late. King Dedede's in the same boat as Bowser, but it was actually Sakurai who mentioned Dedede in a question regarding Melee's development. I should mention all these claims state that characters did have some work done on them. None of these are brainstorm characters that was just scrapped before any work was done, kinda like concept fighters like the Psychobite Racer from Melee. Heck, maybe with all these prototype leaks like the Pokemon Go Space World beta, maybe we could get a development build of Smash 64 with the data of these characters. Probably never gonna happen, and now I'll go cry thinking we'll never see these characters in 64. But before I go do that, the last character from 64 was the 3rd Pokemon rep, being good old Mewtwo, a fan favorite for many people. Mewtwo, according to Sakurai, was the last character to work on and the last character to be cut from 64, and he claims there's even a playable version of Mewtwo out there, probably in the safes of Nintendo of Japan, or in the landfill. That's where usually betas go half the time. Now I mentioned beforehand that the unlockable Smash 64 characters borrowed assists from the main roster, so if Mewtwo had a lot of work done to him, he might have shared some moves from the main cast. The only move I can see copied from another character would be Samus's Charge Shot, but other than that, he might have more original moves. Mewtwo's reason for being cut is just listed like the others, time restraints, but I personally think Mewtwo was also just cut simply for the fact that the other 3 characters were cut. It would seem kinda weird to have Mewtwo be by himself in the character select screen, and I don't know about you, but having 13 selectable characters would bother the crap out of me. All of these characters would appear in Melee with the exception of Dee, so unlike Brawl or Smash 4, I'm glad nobody really got left behind. But seriously guys, Meowth. Is it because the anime is just really random? The rest of the cut content for Smash 64 isn't that big with the exception of one thing, but before that, there's a bunch of graphical differences, which is a no-duh when developing games, and there's some earlier voice clips that exist for characters. There's also a few scrapped stages within the game's code that can be accessed via the debug menu. One of the first scrapped stages is the Metal Mario stage and the Final Destination stage. They contain placement data for 4 characters, so at one point these stages could have been unlockable like Mushroom Kingdom and played in versus mode. Real shame that the Metal stage isn't selectable, because it's a cool stage with a rocky theme. I really hope Ultimate honestly brings it back. The other 2 cut stages that aren't normally seen throughout the game are 2 test stages. The first one's called Small, and is assumed to be an early version of Dreamland 64. The connection is pretty obvious. Besides Whispering Woods, you just got this generic tree, and there seems to be no wind physics here. It could have just been a placeholder. The second stage uses a lot of the assets from Small, but it seemed to be testing out terrain and platform physics. Pretty obvious why this stage was cut. Finally, this is considered a pretty big cut from 64, and it didn't have that much development besides voice clips in the game and maybe some concept art, but at one point Final Smashes was supposed to be in 64. That's right, what was introduced as Brawl was planned from day 1 to appear in Smash 64. Sakurai mentioned that the hardware just wasn't ready to be able to render these attacks, therefore it had to wait till Brawl before the hardware was ready. There are a few voice clips that associate with the Final Smashes from Brawl that actually exist in 64, so I'll play it now and you try to make the connection.
Yeah! Come on, Blue Falcon! PK! Pikachu! PK, Starstorm!
I think the idea of having Final Smashes in 64 would make the game a lot cooler than it already is. In fact, I feel the game would have been better in the end if Sakurai and his team just had more funds and a bit more time to implement the 4 extra characters of Final Smashes to the game. But once again, they didn't have the hardware for Final Smashes, but I feel like they could have maybe made it work. But hey, we eventually got everything down the line, even if it took a few years. Well guys, that basically covers all of the cut and removed content from Super Smash Bros. 64. If I happen to miss anything, tell me down in the comments below, and I got my sources in the description if you want to read those. There's also social media links, and a Patreon you can donate to if you want. I'm CyberShoot, hoping you have a good one.